By Senator Hewitt. Senator Hewitt, as Dan Clater used to say, what does your bill do and why do we need it?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 353 is really kind of an exciting opportunity, I think, for the state of Louisiana, and a great example of collaboration between the department and the industry. This bill provides for carbon sequestration. And so just in layman's terms, what this will do is it will capture carbon emissions. Let's say think of a refinery that could be emitting carbon. It will capture it. It will put it in a pipeline and send it to an area where we will inject the carbon dioxide into the ground. Okay, and so what's great about this is it is, of course, eliminating carbon emissions from Louisiana. It's taking advantage of a vast array of pipelines, CO2 pipelines that we already have available in our state. It's a business opportunity that we're very well positioned in the state of Louisiana to take advantage of. And then the carbon dioxide that's injected most likely will just be stored there forever and as a disposal. But in some cases, there are oil and gas operators that would like to buy CO2 to inject into a producing reservoir as a way of lightening the oil. And actually, it's a form of enhanced oil recovery, so it actually allows you to produce a reservoir by changing sort of the chemical composition that you would otherwise not be able to produce. And so that's being done in many parts of the country. So CO2 is a valuable commodity, and we have just lots of opportunities here to connect the dots. And so I'm very appreciative of again, the department in wanting to do this. And I have a gentleman here that came in from Dallas with Denbury, who has been sort of the industry spokesman on helping us to develop the framework that we need legislatively to be able to take advantage of this business opportunity. And there are some federal tax credits associated with this. So the timing of it, and the reason why we're hearing this bill this session, Mr. Chairman, is because we want to make sure we don't miss this window of opportunity. And we do have some amendments, if I could ask that we adopt those. It's
Tyler, can we get the amendments out?
It's set 832, Tyler.
Senator Hewitt, on your amendments.
I'll just briefly just highlight the amendments. For the most part, again, what we're trying to establish here is a framework. There was some existing language 11 years ago that began this framework, and so we're sort of expanding that a little bit. One thing that we're adding to the bill is a definition of an interested person. And then a number of areas we're actually removing from the bill, not because they're not important, but because those are areas that still need to be further developed, I think, in terms of conversation between the industry and the department. And there's been a great working relationship so far in figuring out how to make all those pieces work. And so we have no expectation that won't be something that can be developed as time goes on, but it's not critical that we resolve all of those issues at this point in the process. And so that's kind of what this is. It's kind of in the weeds, but that's what this amendment does, and I can go into more detail if anybody really wants to hear it.
Senator Connick, is your question on the bill or the amendment? Let's see if I can do this. Go ahead, Senator Connick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Hewitt, thank you for bringing this. One question I have, though, is on the Amendment 2. Anytime I see taking out certain, to provide relative to certain liability, you're removing that language from the bill. Can you tell me why?
Well, that's kind of in the title section of it. And maybe I'll defer at this point to my friend from Denbury, Greg. You worked on these amendments very directly. Tyler, can we give a hard copy of the amendments, please, to... to the gentleman at the table. Yeah.
Could you introduce yourself for the record, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Greg Schnocky. I'm Executive Director of Government Relations, Denbury Resources. We're carbon dioxide enhanced oil recovery and CO2 pipeline company headquartered in Plano, Texas.
So,
Go
Greg, talk us through, the senator's question was on amendment number 2, which is on page 1, line 8. You know, we were tweaking the language. You need a copy of the bill?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senator. I believe what this amendment does is just, and I defer to the bill drafters, but I believe what this amendment does is just make certain that we deferred the liability questions for a later date. So I think that's what this language does, is just clarify that we're not talking about any liability issues that reside in this statute today. Those were discussions we've been having with the department, and it's been very cordial. But given the circumstances and the time available, I think that's what this language does.
I think that's right, Senator Connick. And so, you know, what we were trying to work on in the bill, and that language was actually taken out of the bill, was it related to the issue of transferring ownership at some point in time from one owner to another, and kind of how that all played out. So it's not to say that liability is not important. It's just not contemplated in this legislation at this point, and so
Gotcha.
we took it out of the
Understand.
preamble language.
Thank you.
Thank
Is that
you
it,
for the
Senator
question.
Connick? Thank you. Senator Hewitt, you're going to make your own motion to?
Sure. Thank you. I'd like to move that we adopt amendments 832.
Is there any objection to adopting Amendment 832? Without objection, the amendment is adopted. Back on the bill.
Greg, would you like to just say a couple of general comments? I know you all worked very hard on this bill, and know you've been working with the federal laws to make sure that everything that we're doing is setting us up to be successful, and there's been a great cooperative effort between Denbury and the industry and the department.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senator, and members of the committee. Yes, this particular effort has been going on for more than 10 years. We have been very active from the very beginning of many aspects of it. As the Senator intimated, there are things going on both in regulatory worlds for a CO2 injection, as well as tax policy, which are all coming together, culminating in some discussions that the state of Louisiana has been having with industry with regard to carbon capture and storage, where Louisiana appears to be, as has been intimated, at the epicenter of this new emerging industry. Denbury operates about 275 miles of carbon dioxide pipeline in the state, and we would be an integral part of anything that would happen out in this part of the world. So we've been very active and very supportive of Senate Bill 353 and what it will do, and we'll continue our discussions with the state over additional issues as we've identified in this first round.
Thank you so much, Greg. I know you probably have a green card filled out. I can't find it at the moment, so if y'all could get another one filled out later and just bring it in to us.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate that. Senator Hewitt, I see no further questions. I'd like to read in the cards of support. There's a green card from Tyler Gray, present and willing to provide information from Lamoga. Gifford Briggs, green card from Loga, same thing, present, willing to provide information. And of course, Steve Lee and Blake Canfield here for information only. That's the cards we have. I see no questions. Senator Hewitt?
Thank you very much for hearing the bill. Mr. Chairman, Greg, thank you for your work and your team and the department. Again, I look forward to continuing to flesh out the details as we work together to take advantage of this opportunity. So, Mr. Chairman, at this point, I'd like to move favorable on Senate Bill 353.
Senator Hewitt moves that we report Senate Bill 353 as amendment.
Thank
Do
you.
I have any objections? With no objections, Senate Bill 353 is reported as amended. Senator Hewitt, do you know?